Alright, this is Blizzavoz 45. I'm back for another EverQuest Project 1999 video. So, I made my first video about this character named Viper. He's a ranger who's got some pretty cool dual wield action going for katanas, the Wakizashi of the Frozen Skies. Still using them. I've got a good Valium two-hander I'm using now. I just kind of trade off. It seems like procs are funny. It seems like procs will sometimes their procs are really streaky. I think everybody knows that, but it seems like if you have procking weapons and you use them, and when you get a good streak of procs, you put them away and use something else for a while, it seems like the next time you use them, if you wait a fight or two, like a few minutes, and then you put them back on, a lot of times it seems like they'll start procking again. It still could be completely random. I'm not sure. There's never been a whole lot of testing done. Something like usually the proc rate is like every 2 procs per minute or something to that effect. I can't remember what it is, but I've worked my decks up. It's over 100, but it's not extremely impressive. I think when I have rising dexterity on, my dexterity gets up to like 140, which supposedly if you get your dex to 200, it will raise your proc rate by 50%, but it's just going to be kind of hard to test on red. Maybe on blue I could max out dex, but on red it could be a while and a lot of platinum. But anyway, what's cool is that I'm level 40, and at 39 the Rangers get a procking buff. So you can cast this buff on yourself, and it procs Call of Sky, which is a 35-point direct damage spell. And it's not a big proc. It appears to have an interrupt. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to prove it on a caster yet. I've kind of been avoiding caster mobs lately. I spent quite a bit of leveling up in Mistmore, and I really just don't want to fight casters for a while. In Mistmore, it was like every other mob was a caster, and it was definitely getting old. Actually, I don't mind fighting casters as far as the damage they do. The fact that they can root you, that's kind of a problem. The big nukes are kind of a problem, but it's really... Caster mobs love to cast cancel magic, and if you like having buffs on, they're kind of a pain. And it doesn't matter how you arrange your buffs, what order you put them in. It's random what buffs they'll drop when they hit you for cancel magic. So, but anyway, I learned something about the over there, which is relevant for anybody who likes to fear kite. Now, you can probably tell by my EverQuest history that I really like to fear kite. So I just like it because it's really efficient and you don't have to heal so much. But I'm here with a shaman, and this guy has been my go-to EverQuest partner in crime for I don't know how long, as far back as it goes. But so he knows the game, I know the game, and we try different stuff. I like to try different stuff. I'm kind of an altaholic. I've always got a new alt going, and I just like playing different characters. I get bored of playing one type of class all the time. Even a good class I get tired of after a while. Now, Rangers have a pretty bad stigma for being bad tanks, honestly. In reality, if you fight something close to your level, I don't care what class you are, if you stand in melee range of a strong blue or better, it's going to hurt. I don't care if you're a ranger, a rogue, a warrior, or shadow knight, doesn't matter. It will hurt, I promise. And I haven't tested, and I bet nobody ever tested how good or how bad Rangers are as tanks. It always seemed to be really anecdotal. Now, what I imagine at higher level it does matter, up to a point, but because I've tanked so much on this character, his defense it's either 198 or it's 200. So you can tank, and a lot of times people let you do it because nobody else wants to play a melee and pull. But so Rangers kind of get defaulted to it. But I think it's funny just because I don't know if Rangers back in the day really understood aggro, like at least the first 2 years of EverQuest, because these guys would cast Snare, they would cast their Flame Lick, they'd pull, all stuff that gets you very high on a mob's hate list. And where it was viewed as a disadvantage back in 99, 2000, those early days where everybody formed kind of baseless opinions about certain classes in some cases. What's advantageous to it is if you have a shaman who's trying to slow. I've grouped in groups where we had a warrior. You're supposed to have a warrior. I'm going to put that in quotes. Supposed to have a warrior, quote unquote. And yet, it was a ping pong match because the mob was bouncing everywhere because the warrior couldn't hold aggro. And I wondered if, when you added it all up, if the fact that you can't get aggro and hold aggro, and all the damage that everybody takes because the shaman's trying to debuff, and then the healer's got to heal the shaman, and it just goes on and on. Why wouldn't it? Maybe it would just be better to let even a ranger. I mean, probably a Shadow Knight would be more optimal, but at least a ranger, when he pulls, doesn't matter where he's at, indoors, outdoors, he can snare. He can get high aggro. Snare and Flame Lick, get aggro. Let the shaman do his job. Let him hit it, get a slow on. Slow is too good of a spell to not at least attempt to cast on most mobs. But, yeah, that's just my opinion. I was in a Bugs and Bats group probably in January. And it was just driving me crazy because the shaman kept pulling aggro, and he was just trying to do his job, and it was because we had a warrior. And, again, it's part of kind of like the advanced knowledge which wasn't present during the formative days of EverQuest that we know now. But anyway, I haven't been really fear kiting here, but I do fear kite sometimes, on maybe even in this video a little bit. But this is a really good spot for it, which I never really knew about it. I never really tried. But if you want to fear kite me over there, which is a strong possibility if you're leveling up, this is a good place to go, the SF ramp. And but you do have to be careful when you're pulling. Like when you pull, you kind of got to drag those mobs up that ramp, because if you don't, they'll go into a weird spot and it'll get all messed up. So there's a pathing AI kind of issue. So you just want to make sure that you meet them at the ramp and make sure they walk up the ramp to you. Then you pull them back into this room, and then you can hit fear, and they're just kind of they're going to wander in a small circle instead of like wandering towards the nearest saber-toothed tiger or whatever. They're just going to stay just right in this general vicinity when you hit fear. And if you're fear kiting as a melee, or even if you're a pet class and you don't have to, stay in melee range yourself, but for anybody fear kiting, it's nice because it keeps you, it just avoids a lot of trouble. It's like your private fear kiting room that you can just pull mobs to and not have to worry about it. Now I know on blue, there's a steady flow of trains of people dragging guards and golems to the SF ramp. One good part about red is you don't have to worry about that so much. This was taken in prime time. This is post commentary, by the way, but this was done in prime time, and yeah, there's like nobody here. It's just me and him, which is cool. But really the point of it is just to I love it when I find something new and something that I can share and that might be of use to other people, because this is the over there is a big, you can do, I'm pretty sure you can do 45 up to at least 45. I know tigers are still blue. Sometimes tigers are blue at 49. It's crazy. There was one point during this play session where I pulled a tiger. Like I was trying to, I was in, you can see I'm in level 40 hell, and I was trying really hard to get out of it. And I started pulling tigers, which are usually too much trouble. Like it's just not generally a good idea to pull a tiger if you're going to tank it. And but I fear kited it, and it still got it. Don't get me wrong, even fear kiting it did some good damage to me, but yeah, I really like it when I find something new in this game. That's what's, I've said it before, I've stressed it in videos in the past, because this game is so open-ended and there's so much freedom built into the gameplay. And it was before MMOs became homogenized and Disney-fied and tried to be made to appeal to absolutely everybody who plugged into it. Where this game wasn't afraid to limit its audience, and they knew from the get-go they weren't tuning this game like Diablo, where you could by yourself take on hordes of enemies at one time. They very carefully tuned the hit points and the damage capabilities of the mobs you were fighting to make sure that you generally had to group. For most classes, you would have to group, and it was, I'm sure, it made sense for the genre at the time because there weren't any options. So you had to find people to group up, and the more you need to group up, the more it encourages community, and it arguably built the entire MMO genre. But this whole area, there's a lot of different ways to level up in the over there, and this is a very meat and potatoes, old school tank and heal combination that I'm using here. And I'm usually not so much into conventional class combinations, but shamans are useful. He wanted to level up to be able to make soul potions, and my goals, he's got a level 51 necro, and I really want to have a necro ranger combination going, because he doesn't like to hunt in dungeons, and I completely understand that even as a duo, hunting in dungeons can be difficult, if only because of the caster mobs that love to cast a spell. But generally you get bigger pulls, the difficulty level's higher. It's a little harder to manage as a duo. And you can do lower level dungeons, you can farm like crazy at lower level, but at higher level, when you're trying to get experience, it's definitely very difficult. So I figured at Ranger we can park in just about any zone. He can sit down and med, not have to worry about getting up to pull. He can just have his lich regen going all day long, and I can just speed pulls, get mobs. I've got a huge tracking radius. I can like if we go to Emerald Jungle, or no, it's in the zone where the entrance to Old Sibyllus is. I can't remember what it's called. I hardly ever go to it, but there's the whole Froglock Forager cycle where you can get some pretty nice gear, and I figured really you have to have a tracker to really do it. You have to have a tracker. So I figured when we get high enough level, I haven't even checked to find out what level it is, but I'm pretty sure when we're grinding up in those 50s hell levels, it'd be really great to be able to go outdoors and pull quickly. And I mean, my damage as a ranger, it's okay. I'm probably capable of outdamaging his pet when I catch up to him, but I remember my pet as a necro, and this is after Plains of Power. This is actually during LDON, when it was a big expansion. But night classes were pretty well armed at that point. There were some nice low delay, level restricted, but very powerful two-handed weapons available to melees night classes at that time. And I remember my pet by itself, the level 65 pet, I want to say, yeah, it was a level 65 pet. It could do the same amount of damage as a night class. And I just figure between my gear, being a ranger, having a little bit higher DPS than a night class, I would say I can probably at least do as much damage as his pet. But honestly, and I debated about doing rolling a necro myself, but stacking necros just doesn't. I mean, I'm sure it's good in a way, but I prefer to have like some very offsetting skills. And for me, the ranger being able to track and from a wide radius and then be able to pull from a wide radius. Plus, I can put Spirit of Wolf on him and help him out a ton, just to help his defensibility. I can use my snare, which I prefer the plain Jane vanilla Ranger Druid snare over the darkness line of spells for the necro. I know the darkness it's an important part of a necro's dot rotation, but I can offset his lack of darkness damage just by doing melee. So Spirit of Wolf, tracking, long range bow pulling, that's all stuff that can be a big help to a necro. And just let the necro be what he is, just a raw damage mana cranking machine, and not have to mess with pulling and trying to find mobs, because that's, you don't realize it as a necro how much time you lose trying to find mobs to pull and then pull them back to a safe spot and then doing your fear kite routine and all that stuff. If you have somebody pulling for you, it's always a lot quicker and better. So I think it would be a good combination if I can just push my way up to, you know, around 49 to where it makes sense for us to group up. But yeah, that's basically my plans going forward for this character. I guess the only little issue I've got is I know there is a project. I can't remember what year it is. 2002 maybe, I'm not sure, but it's for EverQuest from Luckland on, I believe. Well, Luckland, Plains of Power, and like some exclusive zones, like not full expansions. It's kind of a weird deal. I don't know what all's included, but all I'm saying is I know it has the alternate advancement. It has the AM2 for Rangers. And I know that's a huge ability for Rangers to let you use your bow as a main attack weapon, which I would love to do. Now, I will say this to anybody who might be interested in playing a Ranger as a bow user. You can do it solo. I did find out if you used Mage Summoned Arrows, and if you have a Velium class bow, wrapped Velium bow, light Velium bow, just those in that range, you can most definitely solo quite well. Your damage is going to be good. I just have a Runed Oak bow, and using Mage Summoned Arrows, I was hitting for a lot of 40 damage hits. So, if you excuse me, if you geared out right, yeah, you could solo using a bow, most definitely. So that's just something I found out even using a crappy Runed Oak bow. I can definitely tell it would help to have a mage nearby to summon arrows. But yeah, if you summon arrows and a good Velius era bow, you can definitely solo. I don't know if I have much more to say. Really just that, this is like kind of the part 2 for Viper the Ranger, and I'm going to keep playing hopefully, and hopefully I'm going to get to a Ranger Necro combination, my dream combination, and I just want to know how well it'll work, because I never really did it. Most Necros kind of like to be on their own and don't like to even pair up a lot of times. So hopefully we'll be able to group up, and I'll get a video out of it and just see how well it works. I have a feeling it'll work really, really well. But anyway, that's it for today, and I appreciate everybody who watches my videos, and I'll be making more of them.